Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of February 17th, 2025. I'm your host, Sharifa Mohammed MGT.
I'm Colonel AUC Oguntoye, an Infantry Officer. Tactical achievements: liberation of Figalovka. The West Group of Forces has reportedly liberated Figalovka and Kharkiv, defeating multiple Ukrainian brigades and destroying significant military assets, including U.S.-made armored personnel carriers and a British howitzer.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, your trusted source for the latest developments on security and defense operations involving military forces. I'm your host, and today we have an exclusive interview with Colonel AUC Oguntoye, who will provide insights into the progress of the special military operation as of February 17th, 2025. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's start with the latest developments. What's the current status of the special military operation?
The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue to execute their mission across multiple fronts, making significant tactical advancements and inflicting heavy losses on the Ukrainian armed forces. Our focus remains on eliminating enemy combat capabilities, securing key strategic positions, and neutralizing military infrastructure that supports their operations. Over the last 24 hours, our forces have achieved several key objectives, including the liberation of settlements, destruction of enemy equipment, and successful defensive operations against Ukrainian counterattacks.
You mentioned securing key positions. What progress has been made in the Kharkiv region?
Our North Group of Forces engaged and inflicted losses on Ukrainian territorial defense brigades in Lipsy and Volchansk. The enemy suffered the loss of 35 personnel, 2 combat armored vehicles, 5 cars, and an artillery piece. Additionally, we destroyed a warehouse containing critical military supplies. Perhaps the most notable achievement in this sector is the liberation of the village of Figalovka. Our West Group of Forces decisively defeated Ukrainian formations, including mechanized and assault brigades, and multiple settlements, including Kondrashavka, Golubovka, and Novaya Kruglyakhovka. The enemy suffered over 190 casualties, and we successfully eliminated several U.S.-made M113 armored personnel carriers, a British 155mm FH-70 howitzer, and 2 ammunition depots.
That's a significant development. What about operations further south in Donetsk and Luhansk?
Our Southern Group of Forces continue to improve their tactical positions. They inflicted losses on 4 Ukrainian brigades, including mechanized, airmobile, and mountain assault units, as well as the so-called Foreign Legion. Engagements took place across settlements such as Nikiforovka, Chasov Yar, and Ivanopoli. The enemy suffered 180 casualties, along with the destruction of an armored combat vehicle, 2 cars, and 2 ammunition depots. Meanwhile, the Center Group of Forces made considerable gains by neutralizing 5 mechanized, Ranger, airmobile, and assault brigades, as well as a National Guard brigade. These operations took place across multiple settlements, including Ulyanovka, Zvarivo, and Udagnoy. Ukrainian losses exceeded 585 servicemen. We also destroyed 2 tanks, including a German-made Leopard, for armored combat vehicles, and multiple artillery pieces.
There have been reports of continued advancements in the east in Zaporizhia. Can you provide more details?
Our East Group of Forces maintained momentum, pushing deeper into enemy defenses. We successfully engaged and overpowered mechanized, airborne assault, and marine brigades, as well as territorial defense units. Combat took place in settlements like Podobnoy, Konstantinopol, and Otradnoy in Donetsk, as well as Temirovka and Guliapol in Zaporizhia. The enemy lost 160 personnel, 3 tanks, including 2 German-made Leopard tanks, 2 vehicles, and 5 field artillery pieces, including a French-made 155mm Caesar self-propelled artillery unit. Over in the Kherson and Zaporizhia regions, our Dnipro group of forces inflicted severe damage on Ukrainian mechanized and mountain assault brigades. Ukrainian losses included 75 personnel, 5 vehicles, and an artillery piece, along with 2 electronic warfare stations and an ammunition depot.
Beyond the ground battles, are there any updates on air and missile strikes?
Our operational tactical aviation, drone strikes, and missile forces targeted and destroyed critical Ukrainian military infrastructure, including military airfields, port facilities, and UAV production and storage sites. Our strikes affected enemy positions across 152 locations, further weakening their operational capacity. Our air defense systems also performed exceptionally well, shooting down multiple threats, including 5 French-made Hammered guided aerial bombs, 3 U.S.-made HIMARS rockets, a Neptune missile that had been repurposed for ground targets, and 177 enemy drones. Notably, 102 of those drones were intercepted outside the main zone of operations, highlighting the broader security challenges we are managing.
With these ongoing operations, what are the cumulative losses on the Ukrainian side since the beginning of the special military operation?
Since the operation began, Ukrainian forces have lost 653 aircraft, 283 helicopters, over 43,700 UAVs, and nearly 22,000 tanks and armored vehicles. We have also destroyed 1,500 multiple launch rocket systems, more than 21,000 field artillery pieces, and close to 32,000 specialized military vehicles. The sustained losses continue to degrade their ability to mount effective operations.
Let's turn to the Kursk region, where there have been reports of intense fighting. What's the latest?
Our forces continue repelling Ukrainian incursions in the Kursk region. The North Military Group successfully liberated the settlement of Sverdlikovo. During these operations, we defeated multiple enemy formations, including 2 tank brigades, 5 mechanized brigades, airborne assault brigades, and marine units across several settlements, such as Goncharovka, Kazakya-Lakhnya, and Kurilovka. Ukrainian forces attempted 4 counterattacks, all of which were repelled. Our artillery and aviation strikes targeted Ukrainian manpower and equipment, dealing heavy damage across multiple settlements in both Kursk and Sumy regions.
What are the total enemy losses in the Kursk direction?
In the past 24 hours, Ukrainian forces lost more than 300 servicemen. We destroyed 4 tanks, including 1 U.S.-made Abrams, along with 3 infantry fighting vehicles, 2 of which were U.S.-made Bradley models. Additional losses included armored personnel carriers, combat vehicles, artillery pieces, and electronic warfare systems. We also eliminated a NASAMS air defense missile launcher and its radar station, as well as a UAV control center. Notably, 4 Ukrainian servicemen surrendered to our forces. Since the start of combat in this region, Ukraine has lost more than 61,300 troops, along with thousands of tanks, vehicles, and artillery units.
Given these developments, what are the next steps for Russian forces in this campaign?
Our objectives remain unchanged. We will continue executing offensive operations where necessary while consolidating gains and eliminating Ukrainian resistance. We will maintain pressure on enemy logistics and command structures to further weaken their ability to sustain operations. The operation is proceeding as planned, and our forces remain committed to achieving the mission's objectives.
Before we wrap up, how many strikes does it take to disable an airfield?
In the context of attacks on airfields, the focus is less on the destruction or damage to the runway itself and more on the damage or destruction of the aircraft stationed at the airfield. In the individual air regiments of the USSR, during exercises, conditional damage to the runway was repaired using fast-hardening polymer resins within 4 hours. Since then, technology has advanced significantly. Without personnel, it can be challenging to restore an aircraft, even after minor damage.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you. Today, NATO-backed M23 rebels reached the center of Bukavu, the capital of South Kivu in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, igniting scenes of panic and terror. This development comes just weeks after the NATO-backed armed group seized Goma, marking an unprecedented expansion of territory in the DR Congo under their control, creating an illicit, tax-free, no-go zone. Deterrence must be established.